here's a kitten. It's going to relax you because we're going to talk about 1D&D again. If you never want to hear me talk about 1D&D again, subscribe to my vlog. Then I won't talk about it. Maybe. Trust the kitten. Hello and welcome. Yes, it is that time again. It is time for another day of exploring the catastrophe of conspiracy confusion that is 1D&D. And today we're taking a look at the digital onboarding service conspiracy that's got everybody upset that D&D Online is going to become a service, a pay-per-use service. So I guess the concern is based upon what we heard out of Wizards of the Coast. Remember, Wizards of the Coast lies. Remember, nothing is set in stone. Remember, they're going to play test it at least once more. So take anything Wizards of the Coast said at the Wizards of the Coast Presents last week with just like, it is bullshit. Until you see it hardcore in print, just assume that this is smoke screens and candy canes, and we don't actually know what they have planned. So the concern is that based upon what we heard at the thing about 1D&D Digital's version, it's going to be a service, D&D as a service, as opposed to, I guess, the past couple of years when they've been trying to say D&D is a form of therapy and a cultural change engine and not just a fucking game about elves with sticks. But now it's a service. So I guess we're concerned that because Wizards of the Coast claims the direction that D&D is going to go is more digital as opposed to more physical, which cost effectively makes perfect sense, that we're going to have to keep paying for that. So right now, D&D Beyond, if you log on to D&D Beyond right now and don't pay anything, you get access to basically the SRD. If it's in the SRD, you can do it on D&D Beyond with your character. You can make a character. You can look at the stuff. You could do anything that is in the SRD, no charge. Will that change in the future? Don't know. But if you want to get an actual digital copy of a book, like, say, Player's Handbook, Tomb of Annihilation, or Tasha's Cauldron of whatever, then that's going to cost you something, about $16 usually, anywhere from $5 to $16. Then you get the digital stuff. It supposedly automatically upgrades everything, so now you have access to the Player's Handbook stuff or the Tasha stuff, and you can use it to affect your character, and you can use it to affect anything else you put on D&D Beyond, like stats for an adventure or whatever. You now have access to that. And supposedly it's a one-time fee as of now, and as long as you pay that one-time fee, you have digital access to the Player's Handbook anywhere that you can have a computer, be it desktop, laptop, tablet, this thing, and there's good enough internet that you could actually access it. Of course, the big problem with D&D Beyond is if you move aside all the other stuff, really, it comes down to, well, what's the point of having D&D Beyond if you don't have the access to the interweb to actually take advantage of it? Because I know I'm playing in a 5e game where there are a couple people who are relying on D&D Beyond, and at least 3 times per game I hear, internet too slow, cannot access information, probably should just look it up in book. And I'm like, yeah, just fucking look it up in the book, dude. It takes me 2 seconds to look stuff up. But yeah, so that's the main concern, not any of this other shit, just can I access the shit? So yeah, that is the current format of D&D Beyond. You get some shit for free, everything else you have to pay for. It's a one-time fee, and then you just have access to it forever. Will that change? Don't know. Then down the pike, we supposedly, but of course this could be bullshit, have Wizards of the Coast attempting to make a digital tabletop, virtual tabletop thing similar to Roll20 or Foundry or the 100 other virtual tabletops. But this one's going to be D&D centric, completely controlled by Wizards of the Coast Digital Entertainment. Save that for later. Pin in that comment, Digital Entertainment, because, yeah, pin that one over here. Just maybe we'll hang on to it for later, because, yeah. Yeah, so now they've done stuff with the Unreal Engine before. They've the Shadowdale digital video game uses the engine, Unreal Engine. You know, you can see it everywhere. They have a preview up on the Wizard site, but they have not actually started working with it yet. They're only in the very, very basic sites, so the preview is not actually using the Unreal Engine to create anything. It's a computer mock-up of what they think it's going to look like once they actually get the Unreal Engine to do what they want it to do. Unless, of course, things change. Oh, the phone. Let's see who it is. Hello? Oh, speaking. Oh, John, it's been a while. How are you? How are the kids? We haven't talked in ages. John? Are you there, John? Yes, telemarketers. The joy. What was I talking about before I was so rudely interrupted by John from the, whatever. I love messing with telemarketers. So, yeah, if this thing actually exists, then it's probably going to function the same as normal virtual tabletops that already exist. You get some stuff for free, but anything else you have to pay for. It's a one-time fee to download the virtual tabletop Dungeon of the Smoke Dragon expansion. But then anything that's been made for Dungeon of the Smoke Dragon, you now have access to wherever you go with the virtual tabletops. And that's what Wizards of the Coast on paper says. So there's a concern that it's going to turn into a pay-per-use site service, except, of course, it already is a pay-per-use service. So I don't know how that's a concern, because that's the way D&D Beyond has always been. That's the way most virtual tabletops are. You get some shit for free. Everything else you have to pay for one time, and then you have access to that digital information wherever you go, as long as you have internet access. So I guess the real concern, well, one of the real concerns, there's another concern that I think is slightly more important, is if it's going to switch from the current format to a format similar to, say, Kindle Unlimited or Netflix, where it now becomes a monthly fee. And if it becomes a monthly fee, do I also still have to pay to download it? Because if you get Kindle Unlimited, sure, you get a lot of free books, but you still have to pay for some of the books. I mean, mind you, it's like 99 cents for a book that would have cost you like $5 if you didn't have Kindle Unlimited. But still, so that is the concern, that one D&D digital tabletop and D&D Beyond are going to become pay-per-use monthly services. Because if just the concern now is I'm going to have to pay every time I want to use something to download it, to add it to my collection, well, that's already the way D&D Beyond is, and most virtual tabletops are. Now, if I have to pay a monthly fee and pay to download it, that sucks. The fact that I'm going to have to do D&D Beyond and the D&D virtual top separately and hope they communicate with each other, so I don't have to keep switching back and forth from D&D Beyond to the virtual teletype. Yeah, sure, they're going to communicate each other. But let's go to the Wizards of the Coast frequently asked questions and see what they have to say about the digital play experience. What is the digital play experience? It will be a virtual play space that allows Dungeons Masters to create truly immersive campaigns, so virtual tabletop. What's the difference between the digital play experience and D&D Beyond? There is intended to be an immersive digital experience for your D&D sessions. It will be integrated with D&D Beyond, so they will both talk to each other. Yeah, sure they will. What about all the other digital tools I used today to play D&D Beyond? Sure, go ahead and keep using them. We're not going to stop you. Sure. When will the D&D digital play experience begin playtesting? It's not available yet. I have more questions. It's still in the prototype and early development, so we cannot answer your questions. So nowhere in here does it say it's going to become anything more than it already is. So I know they mentioned in the trailer, service and stuff, in other words that, are supposed to pop in your imagination because, the media guy said, oh yeah, use the word service, use the word onboarding, use these big pop words. But actually, the concern that D&D is going to become a service as opposed to just a free game. Well, yeah, again, if the concern is that I'm going to have to pay to download the stuff for D&D Beyond, then that's already in existence. And if the concern is I'm going to have to buy this virtual tabletop, no, I think they're making it free, but you have to download and buy all the additional stuff, just like every other virtual tabletop. right? I mean, I don't know jack about virtual tabletops other than Owlbell Rodeo and the one time I tried using Roll20, but I know you can make stuff on your own. I know that there are free sprites or whatever they're called, but I also know that there's packs that you can pay for because I've mentioned them hundreds of times. And when I talk about D&D news or Kickstarters about virtual tabletop information packs. So that's a service, yes. Is it going to change to a monthly service like Netflix? I don't know. There's no mention of it that I can find. If anybody can find where they said it's now going to become a pay-per-month project, then sure, yeah, that would be a concern. And I think most people would be like, dude, I'm not paying you $19 a month to have access to your thing as well as having to pay to download everything. Now, if I pay you $19 a month and I get access to every single solitary thing and it's automatically updated, like several video games, then maybe people might, I don't know if they're going to pay $20 a month for that. All right, so the next big concern of the three big concerns is that Wizards of the Coast is going to go more digital and less physical. We're going to see less actual books and more digital. Right now, Wizards of the Coast claims when the first new product comes out, Dragon Lance, in December, you will automatically also have access to the digital. How's that going to work? I don't know. I guess there's going to be a code inside the Dragonlance or something, or you have to go online, prove that you own it, and then you get the digital thing, or it's just an automatic, like, some Kickstarters, you get the physical copy and you get the PDF and you get the digital. So I guess unless the books are sealed, though, I don't know how this is going to work. So, do they have anything about the Dragonlance thing on here? No. So you can pre-order the digital copy now. You can't pre-order the book. Other than that, it doesn't tell me anything about it. Digital physical bundles. We're excited to offer our first ever selection of specially priced physical and digital bundles. These bundles contain a physical copy and a D&D Beyond digital copy of the book. So if you order it from D&D store, you get the digital and the physical copy. If you just go into a Target and pick it up, then no, it doesn't read like you automatically get it. You have to order it from the D&D store, Amazon, and then they will send you the digital link and the physical link together, much like some Kickstarters do. I don't see how you could do a digital thing with the store, because all somebody has to do is walk into the store, because we know nobody does that. Get the book, open the book, take a picture of the barcode or the magic cards or whatever, walk out of the store, not give any credit to the store, and then go online and say, here's my digital code, I bought it. Yeah. So it looks like the only way you're going to get the digital copy is you buy the physical copy from Wizards of the Coast store, Amazon. Now, the concern, of course, is that we're going to stop getting physical copies altogether. You're only going to have access to the digital copy, and let's face it, unless you've got an amazing computer / cell phone and amazing internet connection wherever you're playing, you're still going to need to access the physical, because this thing is never doing as good a job as just getting the fucking book and going, oh yeah, there's the rule. So that's a concern. The other concern is, yes, physical copies will be available, but they'll be these super expensive limited edition ones with the alternate cover and the chromium and the uncut stuff and all the other things. If anybody who has went through the comic books of the late 90s and remembers all the special editions and alternate covers. Yeah, that's not unusual. Considering how much it costs to make a book right now and get it printed out and get it out to the retailers in order to break even, Wizards of the Coast is going to have to start charging more. And if they're going to have to start charging more, then they're just going to throw in a few extra bells and whistles. Because I assure you, throwing in a few extra pieces of artwork and changing the artwork on the cover doesn't cost them that much. But actually printing out a normal book costs them a lot right now because there's limited access to paper and limited access to printing. And, shipping and getting the stuff delivered is very difficult for them right now. So it's more cost effective for Wizards of the Coast to probably make digital copies. And if you want a physical copy, you got to buy the super expensive special edition because that's the only way that Hasbro's going to break even. Or it could be completely wrong because this all might change. Remember, this is still just smoke screens and hogwash until you actually see the physical thing in print. Now, the final concern, which actually should be the very first concern, and I'm surprised it's not the very first concern, is digital ownership. Not the concern that if I have to pay every time I download something. The real concern should be what happens to the stuff that I upload to D&D Beyond. What happens to the stuff that I create and upload to the D&D digital experience? Does Wizards of the Coast gain ownership of it the second I make it available to the digital world? And if it is anything like when you submit a physical stuff to Wizards of the Coast for, say, a contest, yes, they do own it. Now, that's hard to enforce, because technically it's still yours, and if you copyrighted it and trademarked it. But if you read the information on the Wizards of the Coast submissions guidelines, and I've gone over this before, it says this is ours. Okay? The second you give this to us, this is ours. If we use it, we'll pay you one time, a small fee. But after that, any money we make off of that is ours. If we don't use it, it's still ours. And if 15 years from now we decide to use it, we can make money off of it. You can't. Unless we decide to pay you the same thing we would have paid you 15 years ago, which we probably won't. So yeah, that's the way it is. If I submitted something right now to a D&D Wizards of the Coast contest, or if I submitted something to DM's Guild, and Wizards got the official Wizards of the Coast seal of approval, stamped seal of approval, it becomes theirs. Yeah, I mean, you could argue it in court that it's still yours because you copyrighted it and you created it, and Wizards of the Coast didn't. But if you read the fine print, it says, yep, the second you give it to us, it's ours. You don't get it back. We may or may not pay you for it. We may or may not use it. If we don't use it, it's still ours, because who knows, in 20 years we might decide to use it, but no, we don't really have to pay you for it because you gave it to us and we got, unless you won the contest and got the prize, yeah, it's ours. So the concern is that going to be the same thing when I do D&D Beyond? If I create something, upload it to D&D Beyond, or if I create something and upload it to the digital virtual tabletop nonsense thing, will it become Wizards of the Coast property? That should be the number one concern. Not, is it going to become a pay-per-use service? Does Wizards of the Coast own my shit? Should be your number one concern. And chances are, once they release the FAQ for the digital onboarding, yes, probably yes. If Hasbro has shown us anything, yes, it will become theirs. They will try and use the same bullshit blanket ownership thing that they have done with anytime anybody else has submitted anything to them. Now, that can be fought. It is technically legal, but it is also technically not, especially if you took the 5 extra minutes to trademark and copyright your product before you sent it to Wizards of the Coast. There are at least 1, 2, or 2 cases where people did fight it. Like, Margaret Weiss and Tracy Hickman fought them over the rights to Dragonlance, and R.A. Salvatore fought them over the rights to Drizzt. But, it's a lot of time and money and effort on somebody else's part to take Wizards of the Coast to court. And Wizards of the Coast is probably going to win the court battle or just settle outside of court should you actually get that far. They'll be like, sure, here, fine, take $10,000, leave us alone. But yeah, so that should be the number one concern. So there's our concerns. Now, as of yet, I haven't seen anything in print to make me think that Wizards of the Coast is turning D&D Beyond into a monthly pay-per-use service, or that the virtual tabletop will be a monthly pay-per-use service. But I know that's a concern. So if anybody else knows where that is coming from, please let me know. I know there's some concerns about not being able to get physical books in the future, and that's a legitimate concern. And that's probably what's going to happen, because it's just not cost effective for Hasbro to print a normal book and get $20 for a book that cost them $20 to make. When they can get $70 or $100 or $200 for a book that cost them $20 to make, then yeah, it's more cost effective that way. And the digital rights. Who owns the digital rights once I put something on D&D Beyond? That is, of course, still nebulous, but it could be a concern going forward. Do you have any other concerns about the digital evolution of one D&D? If you do, let me know what they are. If you don't care, let me know. If you never want to hear me talk about one D&D ever again, let me know. And if you haven't subscribed yet, please subscribe. Make this kitten happy. Look at this kitten. It's a kitten. It's cute. Where is it? I can't find it. There's a kitten around there somewhere. Oh, there it is. Look. Kitten. Cute. Subscribe. Make this kitten happy. Till next time, I'm the OG GM as always. If you appreciate this nonsense, let me know. Till next time, get off my land.